Happy New Year, Wadadli friends and family. Welcome back to the channel. And as usual, thank you for all the support. Tonight's guest is being featured in our Sporting Legends Showcase. So, from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, via Old Road, St. Mary's, Antigua, standing at 6 feet 9 inches tall, weighing 245 pounds. He is a former NBA player and two-time NBA champion with the Miami Heat. He also played for the Boston Celtics, Detroit Pistons, and the San Antonio Spurs. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and help me welcome to the show Mr. Joel Anthony. Welcome to Wadadli TV.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Beautiful. Glad to have you. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look at our work, but Wadadli TV is a multi-platform direct social media channel dedicated to showcasing Wadadli excellence. We have a lot of smart, talented, high-achieving, well-established Antiguans and Barbudans who are out there crushing it. Big business owners, CEOs, doctors, neurosurgeons, artists, uh, sports people, NBA players, WNBA players, people on Broadway that we just don't know that they're Antiguans, first of all. And we just don't know anything about them. Also, there are a lot of up and coming superstars, very talented young Antiguans that are destined to do great things, who also need a little support. Um, there are a lot of great things that happen in Antigua, not just Carnival, a lot of great humanitarian charity work, fundraising for worthy causes happen in Antigua that gets almost no coverage. Uh, there are a lot of great things that are Antigua centric that happen outside Antigua that gets no coverage. So we're trying to rectify that. All right. We're just trying to use a little 21st century technology to raise that awareness, make people aware what's happening, give them some exposure, give them that publicity and that coverage beyond the water's edge. So that's the real goal of this little project here. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's great. You know, it's something that I've I've always been proud of. I've you know been very fortunate. You know, even though I was born and raised in Montreal, I was able to stay close to my roots. My mother, she used to make sure I'd go back to Antigua almost every summer
Hmm.
as a kid growing up, every other summer. And so to remain connected, to that country and understand where I
Right,
came from and have that sense of pride,
right,
it always meant a lot to me. You know, when people ask, like where I'm from, I'd always tell them, I guess I am, Canadian, but my family was from
Antiguan.
Antigua,
Yep,
and I am Antiguan. And uh, if there's ever, a flag to represent, like the Antiguan one is always the first one that,
nice.
I've always made sure to show and wave. And when people ask it did, always mean a lot to me growing up to have that. And even, even now, and as I got older, as things progressed and I started to play professionally, and it was still something that I wanted to just add it in anytime I could. People, they used to ask me, well, what was your favorite place, to visit? I always said, like Antigua,
Of
so
course.
people understood, where where I'm from, what's my background. That's a question that always gets asked. So I'm
Beautiful.
happy, always proud of that. And I think it's great that there are, these type of platforms that are able to give that opportunity, for exposure for, Antiguans that are around that we just, don't know about.
Exactly.
And it's about raising that awareness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, I can vouch for Joel. Because as long as I can remember, it was at his grandfather's house in Old Road, eating those mangoes on Sundays.
Um, yeah, a
Yeah,
ball. Everyone gets a
man,
bowl of mangoes.
a bowl of mango, and I would just like let us go to
Yes.
town on it. Let's just talk about your beginnings in terms of basketball. Um, were you always attracted to basketball um, as a teenager, or what were you introduced to the game at some point?
Um, I would say I was interested in the game as a fan when I was younger.
Right.
It wasn't, it definitely wasn't my number one sport. I loved American football and loved,
Wow.
grew up, I was watching like NFL games all the time, CFL games because I grew up in Montreal,
Right.
Canada. So that was at least into the team sport that's what I really focused on. And then I love track. I love track and field. I
Mm.
used to always love all the races. Get a chance to watch the races during the Olympics. So as a kid, that's what I was attracted to. I always wanted to run. I always wanted to try and be the fastest, and I loved
Mm.
football as well. And so there was always an interest in basketball. I loved watching it. I grew up in the era of Michael Jordan and the Bulls dynasty. So you used to love watching the NBA on NBC all the time growing up. But my love for basketball, didn't really come on until later. Probably when I was turning 17, 16, 17, like around then is when
Mm.
I really started to focus a lot more on it. I transferred from a school. I went to a school that was closer to my house, and
Mm.
where I lived, it was a small school, so there was no football team. So I went from a bigger school. I went to a private school when
Mm.
from seventh to ninth grade, and I
Mm.
was able to play all the sports. I played some basketball, football, rugby, even. Um,
Wow.
and then when I transferred to that other school, they only had basketball. It was the school didn't have a
Oh,
lot of money. It
okay.
was extremely small, so they only had basketball. And also at that time, so that summer, as I was going over, I had my growth spurt. So I went from 6 foot to 6'6" in the summer.
Wow.
And yeah. So it was pretty. It was a pretty big change, a pretty big jump,
Right.
and and
Yeah.
and from then I just because it was my environment. I just happened to be taller. I was just focusing a lot more on basketball. Obviously, I played on the basketball team over there, and
Mm.
that really became more of my focus. I didn't even really realize it, but I just totally left football and everything like that behind because it wasn't even something that was an option for me anymore.
Right.
Right.
Hey, I'm still waiting for my growth spurt. Uh,
You peaked,
You think
Craig.
there's hope?
Trust me. No,
it'll come
he's
eventually.
peaked. He's peaked. I remember seeing you just as I think you were going to go to UNLV.
Mhm.
You're about to enter college. Um, Talk about the difference between, and I'm anxious to get to your days at the Heat, Miami Heat, but talk about the difference in getting ready for college and that college experience, and how much faster or how much bigger are the players when you go from college to the NBA?
Oh, it was a total different world. Like there was a jump um that through every level that you go to, like you're always gonna have a jump. So when I went to UNLV, I was in junior college at first. So even for
Right.
that, there was a jump because I went from school in Montreal where Montreal, we have some pretty good athletes over there, and then going to a junior college where now, especially in basketball, where you're going to find a lot more talented basketball players. And so now I was in junior college in Pensacola, Florida,
Right.
and I was able to see kind of a jump in the athleticism and the size of some of the guys. And then Division 1, now you're talking about upper echelon of players
That's
at that age group. And
right.
so you're seeing a lot more athletes. Like every team, you're seeing at least like 2 or 3 like really top notch athletes, and everyone is pretty good, has pretty good athleticism. And then it's the size, I think, is one of the biggest differences like you would notice once you get to the pros, because once you reach the NBA, it's a combination of really everything, where it's the size of the players, it is their skill set,
That's
their
speed.
athleticism, their talent, the speed, like everything. You really have everything. So like what you would see from maybe 2 or 3 players on like one team in college, you have 15 guys that are like that. So
Wow.
um
Did
it's
you
and
get the nerves? You're like, oh my God, what am I doing here?
honestly, no, like I feel like I was really well prepared. Like being going to school at UNLV, like I don't know if you've seen like the Thomas and Mack, and seats like over 20,000, I can
That
imagine. And
was
when I was my last year there, we were selling it out. We played really well our last year. We went to the Sweet 16.
Hmm.
So it was a really good year for us. So I got used to at least like the crowds and that type of feeling. So I never really got, those type of nerves once I was in an NBA game, because I was like, I've seen this, crowd before. I just had to, I was very locked in and focused on what I had to do. Um, but there is a huge change in the pace and speed of the game. Like once you go onto an NBA court, like the speed of the game is something that's very different. You can't practice for it. You could only play through it. There's no simulation. There's no like extra work that you could do.
put it.
Nothing could replicate it except for going through it.
Right.
And so
Wow.
we're very, very fortunate, that I was able to, have that opportunity.
Okay. Walk me through your draft night. What did that feel like when you realized you were going to actually play in the NBA?
Well, like for me, like I didn't really know, because like I went undrafted. So like going
Oh,
into
okay.
it, it was really, the whole process was really about, so I signed with an agent, and
Mm,
he basically had set me up to work out. There's this place called Impact over
mm,
in Vegas. And anyone that is into like professional basketball knows of it. It's like a great facility. A lot of pros go over there. They had guys from Kevin Garnett, Chauncey Billups, and then
mm,
those are some of the guys that helped start it up. And then like since then, it's run by Joe Bunazar, and I was fortunate enough to go over there, and it's different players that were there when I went. So a lot of guys getting ready for pre-draft, a lot of guys that ended up getting drafted first round, second round.
Oh.
Um, were over there working out, getting ready for the draft, because they had workouts,
mm,
and
Hmm.
they're trying to be sharp, and it really prepares you for that. So I was over there
right.
working out, and my agent told me, he's like, look, like we'll put you, have you here to help you get ready.
Mm,
But he was very honest. He was like, look, I don't know if you're going to get a workout. I just know, like, I'm telling you, I'm going to work for you, and I'm going to put you in the best possible position that I can.
Right.
mm,
And just kind of had faith that I was going to be able to be in a situation where I'd get a chance to showcase it. So it started out where someone just ended up dropping out of a workout. It was in Phoenix. Someone
Oh.
dropped out of a workout in Phoenix,
Hmm.
and they called. They're like, "Look, we need someone to come in, right away." And I ended up I ended up going over there. Was able to do really well, and I actually got brought back, for
Oh.
a second workout after, and
Mm-hmm.
slowly like people started to talk, and
Mm-hmm.
then more workouts came and more workouts came, and by the end there was I'd seen like 10, 11 teams. Like I was just,
Wow.
I was just going around. I
Nice.
did a whole tour,
Nice.
and I was just going around like all these different workouts. And so, but still, I knew, it was very unlikely for me to get drafted. It was,
Oh.
possibly like someone could have seen me in the second, in late second round maybe, but it was very unlikely. So what happened is that the draft came, draft went. And then as soon as, and my agent told me this is exactly how it was happened, that's exactly how it happened. He was like, as soon as the draft is over, once they announce the 60th pick, he's like, my phone's gonna start ringing. And it's gonna be people that want to bring you into camp.
Mm-hmm.
So, because that's what happens after all that's done. Like everyone's trying to figure out who they're going to bring into camp. And so I had an opportunity with all the teams. I had done 2 workouts at Sacramento. They wanted to bring me in on a partial contract. And then the Miami Heat wanted to bring me in on a partial contract as well. And I'd worked out for them. Yeah. So ultimately we ended up going to Miami. And I was basically partial contract. They gave me a little bit of money to go into summer league, and
Mm-hmm.
from summer league, there moved on, went to training camp.
Mm-hmm.
Training camp had to make my way and make it to the final roster. Was able to survive like all the cuts that they made. There was about like close to 6 of us that were there, and there was like 1 2 spots, and was able to make it opening day roster. And
Wow.
like that's kind of how I ended up making it in. So it was a process, and I was still on that partial contract. Like my contract wasn't even fully guaranteed until January. So
Wow.
still, nothing was like ever like completely given. It was, so stuff that I had to earn and had to, continue to work my way through,
Right.
to be able to
Right.
get it.
I gotta tell you, this is this is this is some fascinating stuff. This is the stuff you don't see on camera, right? You see draft night and all the glitz and the glamour, and guys wearing hats and swapping, but to get this background behind the scenes insight, I'll tell you why it's valuable. There's another Joel Anthony out there right now who might see this, who's a prospect, maybe top prospect, some kind of prospect in Antigua, some other place that is unfamiliar to the process, just like me and Jomo are unfamiliar to the process, who might think if I don't get drafted, that's the end of it. But to know that after draft night and all the cameras are gone, lights are off, everybody gone home, that there's still an opportunity to make a name for yourself. Sign on with the team, practice squad, camp, training camp, summer league, whatever the case is. It's not the end of the road. So, put the work in just like anything else. It's always a possibility. So thank you for that amazing insight. I'm a complete nerd for stuff like this, so don't mind me.
No, no,
Yeah.
Fascinating
it's,
info.
it's all right. It's yeah, no, it's definitely it's yeah, everyone has their own path.
Yeah,
Everyone
Yeah.
has their own path, and it's never going to be perfect if you only think of it as there's only one way to get to a destination.
exactly.
It'll probably be difficult to get there, because if you have a roadblock, then like to you, like that might be it, or
Yeah, back
someone
to
else,
Yeah.
home.
there's another way around it.
Right.
You have a lot of success stories, in the league, and really in life like that. So it's important for everyone. I would implore anyone, whether it's other prospects that are looking to play, or just any young Antiguans that have any dreams of doing anything to that they're looking to have success in. Like there's no easy way around it. Like sometimes there's pitfalls, there's no guarantees.
Hmm.
And I think the biggest thing is you have to be willing to sacrifice to be able to get to, where you want to go.
Yeah.
And you just have to have faith in what you're able to do and just apply that.
Talk about working hard, just for a minute, Joel, because I don't think people understand quite how much you have to put into this game. I mean, a lot of folks think that you're talented and that's just going to be enough. And I like the route that you got to the NBA is not only interesting, it's inspiring because it's a testament to our work ethic as a people, not giving up, not being scared, not being intimidated, knowing that, hey, me just be trying like a damn man do it.
I think when you touch on the hard work, like where that comes from, and for when you talk about us as a people, like it, for me, it comes from my mom. Like my mother was, the one that instilled discipline in me. She instilled, a focus and drive in me. And in a way that, there's some things that I just didn't know or understand because I was just young, like she'd also tell us, as I was older, like my sister was with this Shalette, so
Sure
you'd yeah, so like we'd be at home and it'd be the weekend, and she would like wake us up and it's early in the morning and we're like, well, why are we getting up like now? She's like, no, you have to, if you have stuff to do, you have to make sure you do it now.
wake up
and
early.
and yeah, and take care of everything, and then you have the rest of the day to do everything you have to do. And um but even like just small things like that. And there was nothing given to us like when we're younger. Like if we wanted something, like my mom's like, look, I can't afford to get you this. Like if you want this, you're gonna have to find a way to work for it. She provided us with everything that she possibly could, but like didn't grow up spoiled where as it's uh, not to go off subject, but kind of the
No,
different
no, no, you're good.
what I'm able to do with my daughter, where
Mm.
she's able to get a lot of stuff that like she
They get it.
it's just
Get
like,
away with a
yeah,
lot.
like yeah, you could get that,
Testify.
and people are going to give you these different things. And
Yeah.
but it doesn't work like that. Life is not like really like that. But um my mom was just she was just saying, just instilled in me like about like all the hard work and like whatever it takes. And to me, I was never too big to like do a job. Like I started a paper route when I was 12,
Nice.
because I had to like I wanted to make money and I wanted to be able to do stuff like. And like I'm still just a kid. Like I just wanted candy, Like I would take the money, I would buy some candy. I'd buy like a sports or hip hop magazine or something like that, and
Yeah,
then I'd give the rest of like the money to my mom for like whatever we needed in the house. I was like, I like this is all I need, and I was like, look,
yeah,
this like this is it. And so understanding that, and then as I kept on growing up and going older, when I was 16, I worked at a Chinese restaurant, busboy, dishwasher,
What?
like whatever, because like you're like I'm not. And that's why I say, like, people, you're not above that type of work, and you have to work hard at whatever job it is that you do. And like that's what I made sure to do. And because if I wanted something, like I was going to have to work at it. No one was going to give it to me. My mom wasn't just going to say like, oh, here you go, you could have this.
Right.
I was like, nah. It's like she didn't have money for that. She was like, nah, Joel, like, I can't do it. And so I'd have to, if I wanted something, I'd have to try to find a way to do it. Learn how to save, learn how to you appreciated all those things, and you're willing to do all that work. And that was my foundation that was instilled in me.
Talk about the other players that you came up against at your position. Who were some of the toughest players that you had to face in terms of tonight? I gotta really put it down because this guy is super strong.
Yeah, it was. I would say like it depends on the year where like some players were just like their year it was like a lot more difficult to guard them than some others. Not that like they had fallen off, but just everyone is just so good. So like the ones you notice the most would be so like in like 2008 around 2008 2009 my toughest matchup by far was probably Tim Duncan because
Wow.
I was still learning the game.
Also another
And
Antiguan.
sorry,
Also another Antiguan by way of the Virgin Islands, but we'll talk about that later.
Virgin Islands, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So like against him, like I was like I started to develop as a defender like within my team at least, and so I had to guard him one on one,
Mm.
and because they're like okay, like we trust Joel enough, like he'll be good against him, and so and it was just like to me a lesson. Like I learned more in probably like that one game guarding him than I did like through like most of my career. Like it was
Yeah.
everything. He was going shot fakes, rip throughs. I'm
Bank
trying to
shot.
keep my hands back. It's bank shot,
Mm.
foul, and one like shot. And it was just everything. And so I had to figure everything out quickly as I was going. And
Mm.
it was really like a teaching lesson at the same time. And so like that was one of my toughest, like definitely like the toughest matchup that I had just because I was still trying to figure everything out.
Mm.
And that really helped me a lot in my development. And then after that, probably one of the toughest ones was I probably have to say in terms of like getting ready for it was Dwight Howard. For sure. Like Dwight Howard was because one, we're in the same conference, but also
Conference,
the same
right?
division.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Oh.
had to see him in preseason. I
Mm-hmm.
had to see him like 4 times in the regular season.
Right.
And so it was
Yeah.
like
Superman.
every single time. Yeah. And like this is when he was like Superman. Like, I know people don't have like the best memories. So like people could easily forget, what Dwight Howard
Nah,
was
Dwight was crazy.
a absolute monster. And so that was like the one day, like I didn't care what was going on. I
Mm-hmm.
was going to sleep at like 11 o'clock. And I'm like, look, everything's shut down. I'm getting all my rest. I'm having my good meal, whatever is going on. People want to hang out, want to do. I don't care.
Yep.
I need to sleep and
Mhm.
get my rest because of what I have to go through, that night. And the next day, like we shoot around, I was like, look, I need my full nap time and then some, to be able to rest and get ready for it because I had to prepare myself physically and mentally for what I was
Mhm.
about to, go against. Like this
Mhm.
is, like the best big men in in the league at that time. Maybe arguably, like I said, because everyone, there's so many like really good players, and sometimes it really just depends on what year. Like it might be
Mhm.
this year he's up, this year like this other player's up. So
Mhm.
but arguably like the best big men in the league. Um, and that was, he was probably the matchup where I was just like, look, every time I just knew like I need to get my rest and get ready because it was going to be a battle, throughout
Yeah.
throughout that game.
So,
What year did you win your first championship?
mhm.
First championship was 2012. Yeah, first
2012.
championship was 2012. We beat
Okay.
OKC. Um, for that one, and then 2013, the following year, we beat San Antonio.
Yeah.
Right. Did you feel what was it like playing with LeBron James?
It was I see it was when you talk about like kind of teaching, when I mentioned earlier, like defensively things, teaching and learning, like with Braun, it was it was probably so much that I learned from being around and observing how he was and his approach and his mindset. Is
Mhm.
probably one of the smartest players I've ever been around, and just smart people in general. um
Mm.
and to see kind of the combination of everything, and so, and I was fortunate to be able to play with someone like D Wade and Braun, like in their primes,
Mhm.
where
Yeah.
you saw everything. You saw like all of this knowledge that he had in the game, then you
Yeah.
saw all of his talent, all of his athleticism, all of his strength, all of his speed, like
Yeah.
everything, you saw all of it. And then, I also was able to see his development from the superstar that was in the league to finding another level to be, an NBA champion. And, because there was another level that he had to go to just to get that. And to see, that development was really incredible in terms of like the process and how he, even someone like him, was able to still change his game and learn and get better.
Mm.
So it was and obviously, like, with him and everyone else, like the success that we're able to have, to be a part of that, that whole thing, it was, it was pretty incredible. And seeing how he dealt with everything and adversity and the enormous like expectations that
Yeah,
he
I was
he
about to ask
had.
about that.
Yeah, it was pretty big and pretty special to kind of
I
see
know.
all of that.
Because remember, up until then, as great as he was, he had never won a championship, right?
Right.
And so that was always the knock with LeBron, right? Even
Mm.
the talking heads were oh, he get close, but he ain't never gonna win nothing.
Right.
So I can imagine, and I wish I could have been a fly on the wall, um, or on your shoulder to kind of see that actually come true for him. I remember him. Is that the one where he was on the bench? He was cramping up, or was that the second one? There was one finals game where the team was about to win, but he started having cramps, and
I
they
don't know. He's
actually.
he's had cramps like a couple of times. So
Oh,
the first year definitely.
yeah,
And I remember the first year because we're going into the playoffs
right.
and he was so excited.
Mm-hmm.
And he's telling everyone like, you can't you can't wait. He's like bouncing around. He's very, like energetic and
Right.
vocal and everything. And so, and he had like I remember he had this like huge, like it was like a gallon of water. So he was walking around with the water. He hadn't done this all year. Now the playoffs come, he has all this water. He's like, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready. I can't wait. He's locked in. And which was like kind of like the joke on the bench, because like you're drinking all this water finally, and now you decide to cramp up. You haven't cramped up all year at all. And
Drink too much.
now is when you're gonna cramp up, and you're
Yeah.
drinking all this water on top of it.
Right.
Right.
So it was yeah, so I'm not sure like when exactly, because there was another time also that I remember he did cramp up, but like it's amazing like what he's in terms of what he puts his body through.
Yeah.
It's it's kind of surprised that he hadn't done that before,
Yeah.
because like the
Mm.
amount, his usage rate, and the amount of time and the energy level that he's able to play at.
Mm.
um it's pretty tough to maintain that.
I wanted to kind of go into, it's like a two-parter. There's like your daily routine, right? So you don't have games every day. I want to talk about the daily routine, game day, non-game day, and I want to talk about the pre-game sort of like routine. You see guys walking in with the massive like jumbo-sized headphones. I always wonder like what are they listening to, and what did they do when they got up this morning, and what does it take? I'm looking through the lens of the next generation, right? What does it
Mhm.
take to be a professional?
Uh,
The kind of conditioning, the kind of discipline, the kind of routine. There's the
yeah,
lifting, there's the 1,000 free throws, whatever the case is. What is that
yeah.
like for you, or was like for you?
I think the routine is something that's extremely important. I think like having a consistent routine is how you're going to get consistent results.
Right.
And I say consistent twice for a reason, because consistency to me is the most difficult thing to achieve in like professional sports, really like in anything, it's
Mhm.
is really the hardest thing to do because like yeah, like you could have like 3 really good games. Okay, like that's good, but can you continuously do it? So people that are able to, so I watched D Wade average like 30, um when we were playing, like this is back in 08, 09, and to consistently do that where someone is going to, the team knows what they're going to do, and no matter what, you know chances are at the end of every night for 82 games, 30 points.
Mhm.
Wow,
Very difficult.
Wow.
Like when
that's
you're talking
crazy.
about the best players in the league, you got the best coaches, you have the best defenses, you have all this where, some guys it's like, okay, like they might average 30 for like 10 games.
10 games, right?
And like it was good, but like they might be more in the like 20 range,
Mhm.
and so to be able to consistently do something great is one of the most difficult things. And so that's why I say like the routine is so important, because that is a big part of it. It's one thing I've noticed like the most with everyone, and that's part of like being a professional, where you're always going to do, I'm going to quote my junior college coach, Paul Swanson: do everything you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, every time you're supposed to do it, to the best of your ability.
Wow.
And it's just a matter of like staying true to that, and trying to make sure you do it the right way. So for, let's say, game day, get up, depending on where you are. So let's say we're on the road,
Mhm.
we get up. So well, okay, me personally, I would get up, I would go, I'd find a sandwich spot or something like that that was somewhere or around the hotel.
Mhm.
I would grab a breakfast sandwich, some juice, some water, uh, preferably a smoothie. Everyone that knew me then like knew I love smoothies. So I get a smoothie, breakfast sandwich,
Mhm.
go on the bus, go to shoot around. Shoot around might be at, I don't know, like maybe uh 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So take the bus, go to shoot around, go shoot around. You try to be efficient with your time. So, try to get some early shots in. Um, and then you go through shoot around. After that, maybe try and get a little extra work in, but chances are like buses, everyone's like, bus time to go, take the bus. We go back as a team. I'm thinking this is more of my time like in Miami. We go back as a team. We'd have now breakfast together. Like I'm someone that I had to eat something like before, so I'd always, that's why I got like my little sandwich before. So then we'd have like breakfast, that's lunch. So it was like a whole spread. There was pasta station, omelet station. You could have some pancake soup if you want. So you had everything that you needed, like all the food. This would be like around like 12. Eat, then
Okay.
um you go back to the room, probably have, depending, like maybe 2 hours to really sleep. Like you might be up for another hour or two, but then after you like showered and everything like that, um you would you'd have like maybe like 2 hours to really sleep, nap, and then close to 4, look to be getting up 4 or 5, get up. So depending on where you were in terms of your on-court schedule would
Mhm.
depend on the bus you're going to take, because there's usually like 3 buses:
Oh,
first bus, second bus, um
break
and
that down.
then
Mhm.
yeah. So like, because like there's only, you only have like really like one basket
Mhm.
to work out on, so you can't, the whole team can't be there at that
Right.
time.
I
So
see.
and everyone was different. So yeah, guys, like, so like Ray Allen would like go like really early. He wouldn't even take a bus. Ray would take a taxi and go over and like work
Dedication.
out. So like everyone was different in terms of when they wanted to work, and so go over, take the bus. You have your scheduled time. I would usually take another sandwich with me. So it's something to have over. I did love to eat, but I needed my fuel now.
In the cars, man. You gotta carve up.
I needed my fuel. So now fast forward to being at the game. After that pre-workout, the individual session on the court, you have time to you could rest, you could stretch, do whatever you have to do. So everyone's different. So some people had like a bigger activation program that they did where they might use bands and different stuff like that, just to get them more ready for the game. Then once we I don't know, like 20 something or 30 like on the clock, go in, pregame speech, strategy, all that stuff with coach. 18 on the clock, you know, uh, you know, ready to go in the hallway, and we're ready to head out, and it's game time. So like that was like game day, pretty much. Practice day, you're looking at getting in the morning. So I would always go. So if we had practice at 10, I'd always be there like at least like 2 hours before. So like 8. Um, breakfast, then have like my hour in the weight room to lift, go through that workout. Then an hour, I'd be able to go on the court, have my individuals, workout, do all of that, then practice. And then we had like 2 hours of practice or whatever. And you go through practice where you have everything. And practicing Miami Heat was like you practiced. It wasn't it wasn't as light as some other places that I've been.
What's the game day walk-in song? Like the guys got the massive headphones. What are you listening to on the iPod, iPad, iPhone, whatever? What's your genre of music? The routine.
For me, dancehall. Yeah.
Dancehall, my man.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite artist?
Yeah, for me, like back then, it was dancehall. I'd have like probably like, especially back then, it'd be like Movado or Cartel.
Nice.
And like that's what I'd had, because like to me, that's what like got me like like going. Yeah.
Nice.
So I would have that, and that was, it was funny because like that's more like from my background, because like the guys would like listen, because like every I was always like the quietest, like one around. Like you might hear me on the court when I have to say something basketball wise, but people always like kind of wonder like well, what is well, what's y'all listening to, like what's going on? So they listen, and like everyone's North American, right? So they're all American.
What
So
the
they're
hell
like,
is
what is this? So it was either
Movado.
yeah, exactly. So like before a game, like that's what I'd be listening to. But it was, for me, like that's what, kind of got me, like more locked in. Like some like hip hop artists I would listen to at different times, like maybe later, especially like later on in my career, like some of that stuff I would listen to, but like for me, like that was it. And then if I was just, like just maybe like just relaxing, or if we're just like on the bus, like after or something like that, like a lot of times it would be either like maybe not as, not just like I don't really want to say, but not a more hardcore like dancehall like tune, or something lighter, or like soca.
Okay. Soca. Okay.
Just, like obviously, like I would just listen to soca. And it's funny because like I would put my teammates like on that, where like I'd have them like listen to it, and they're like, why are you like this is, I was like, look, this is like where I'm from, this is part of my culture, this is what
Burning
like
flames.
listen to, exactly. So I grew up listening to like Burning Flames, and it's different for me, compared to them, because like I didn't grow up on hip hop, really, the same way they did. Like I grew up first, listening to soca. Like I remember like Burning Flames. I was younger, like going, because I was in Antigua during the summertime, so it's carnival.
Carnival.
And right, so like all I'm hearing is like all the big soca tunes like for the summer,
Right.
and so I'm
Yeah.
used to that. And then when I got to when I was listening to more music when I was in Montreal,
Mm.
I was, I would listen to, reggae, dancehall, because there's a large West Indian community over
Right.
there, but a lot of Jamaicans, a lot of my friends
Mostly
were Jamaican.
Jamaican. Yeah.
So I would listen to that, and then I started listening to hip hop and
Mm.
R&B. So like in terms of my preference, like it was always, like soca and dancehall. Like that's
That's
what
all.
I always wanted to listen to, growing up. And it was out with my friends, like that's what we'd want to listen to. And like soca, hip hop was like third. And like,
Yeah.
even though we grew up in the area, like that was,
Who's
there,
your
like we still liked it. But
Who's your favorite dancehall artist?
favorite dancehall artist?
Yeah.
Uh Well, it's something. It's more like genres. Like I mentioned, like Movado and Cartel, because like those are the two that I I listened to the most. Like while I was playing, like
Mm-hmm.
around that times. But like I also grew up like listening to Bounty and Beanie Man. Then for me, it was actually one of the like, and I was never like really like starstruck or anything like that. But it I would say it meant the most to me when I met people from
Oh.
like from those genres and like from that culture, because like that was what I grew up on.
Yeah.
I got a chance to like meet like Jay-Z, and
Mm.
like he was over there, and we're with there's a bunch of people over there, and I was like, oh, okay, like hey, like okay, like it's
Hey,
like Jay-Z.
Jay
But
Z, what's up?
like it meant more to me when I met like Beanie and Bounty, like when I was in Jamaica, with
Oh,
some friends, and I got introduced to them, and I was like, wow. And like I took a picture, and I was like, oh, like that's like I'm like more like that was like
yeah, that meant
huge,
more to you.
for for me. Like
Yeah.
I frequent enough carnivals in in my time. I was able to meet Marshall, and like with Marshall actually like became a friend, because I was connected to through Jamal McGlure, who was
Hmm.
Jamal McGlore's Trini, and he was
Is
a good
he?
teammate.
Yeah.
Jamal McGlore's Trini, yes.
Mm.
Jamal was the one that brought me over. He was the first brought me over to Carnival, and he introduced me to a lot of different artists over there. Like a lot of people that I knew
Wow.
through the soca community. I've met so many artists like throughout that community, and it was it
Wow.
started through being him. He was like he was really like my big brother.
Mm-hmm.
When I got over there, he came my second year in the NBA, and so he was really looked out for me. But like getting introduced to like those like those artists, like to me was like huge,
Yeah.
right? And so like that meant more
Wow.
to me than meeting like any other like celebrities like in America. Like with all due respect, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah. We know what you're saying. We got you. Jomo, come here.
No, I'm smiling from ear to ear, man, because that to me is invaluable. How did your life change after you won the first championship? What was it? Was it more notoriety, or was it more work next year to repeat?
uh I think it was I think the notoriety was after it was more after we lost. So the year before we lost in the finals,
Yeah.
but it was going to the NBA finals that I think changed so much more, where now I was more recognized, which
You lost
was
Mm.
to Dallas, was it?
yeah,
Yeah,
we
previous year.
lost to Dallas. And
Yeah.
so it was like
Nowitzki.
so like we're on this team, and it's obviously like super popular team and everything, but once you're playing in the NBA finals, like like I was starting in the NBA finals, and so like everyone, saw me. Like that's the only basketball you could watch at that time. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Everyone's done playing. We're
Right.
the only two left. And so that was really, I think, where the notoriety came in terms of like where people were noticing me, because they're like, oh, you play for the Miami Heat. Because even the most casual fans, they're like, oh, I saw the NBA finals, there's like some Miami team, and and so like it would just be that. And I noticed it one time. I noticed it right away, where but before then, the year before, I just started to like really get recognized like in Miami. Because I was in Miami 3 years. Then the fourth year, we lost to Dallas in the finals. And then I remember, it was tough. Like after losing, honestly, one of the toughest things, like losing in the finals, and you didn't want to be anywhere, didn't want to go back home, didn't want to be in Miami. And I had like some of my friends that were in Miami. They were going to DC. I think it was for it might have been for a soccer game or something. And they're like, hey, like we're going over. So I was like, hey, like I'll go too. Like I'll get out of here. And so we went, and I remember uh we were just there, and we ended up going out one time. And I remember just people were just random people were like coming up to me and saying like, hey, I saw you in finals, and they wanted to take pictures. And it was what I would see if I was in Miami.
Miami.
But I
Yeah.
was like, I'm in DC. I was like, who knows me in DC? Like, what is
DC.
going on? And it was very different. And this is well, granted, it was 2011, and social media was still like just starting to like blow up then. But it was definitely like where I noticed the biggest change, where I was like, oh, like now, like the
Outside.
notoriety that you're talking about was like really outside, like everywhere,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so all basketball fans, and like it seemed like, okay, like people knew like, oh yeah, like you play for the Heat, yeah, you're center for the Heat. And so
Yeah. Can't
that's
miss it.
where, yeah, yeah. So uh, that's what I noticed. Probably had changed the most. Um, and then winning it was just like nothing was the same like in Miami, because it meant so much to everyone in the city,
Right.
that like to this day, like I'm in Miami, and like people still see me, and like say thank you, and remember the times. And it was a special time, like if you were living in Miami back then. So um
Nice.
I'd probably say that in terms of the notoriety, like at at those times, it kind of changed, like I'll forever, have love, like in Miami,
Nice.
be because of because of that championship.
Nice.
The two, really, but
Two.
like,
Well, who's
yeah.
counting?
Yeah. But like we're really like winning the championship, that's what will always be there.
Yeah.
That you know that love, and it definitely goes both ways.
I'm very happy that you guys had pulled that off, because again, all the naysayers were out for for LeBron, because he had
Oh
come
yeah.
close. He had come close in Cleveland, with really no team really, and managed to get that far. And it was like, he's great, but will he ever win one? He hasn't
Hmm.
won one. Will he win one? And
Yeah.
then all the fanfare with the big three and the decision, and it was like, yeah, whatever. But to see that actually come to fruition, I'm telling you, I was happy for him, because a lot of great people, great players, great individuals play a long time and never get to the mountaintop. So to see that happen for him, man, I was so happy. I'm a big LeBron fan, so I'm very happy that that happened.
Talk about today, the Montreal Alliance. You with a new team. What is your position on the team, and how is it now? How is your basketball like? How is your life now on the other side of basketball?
It's been great, honestly. Like I'm really fortunate, after retiring, and trying to find my way, having no idea what was really going to happen, to kind of fall into this situation where, I'm able to kind of return back to Montreal and give back to the city through basketball. And it's with like the first professional team in years that the city has been dying to have, and now I get to be like a part of this whole process, and to have my like actual influence in how all of this goes. And for me, it really was like a huge honor to kind of be in this situation where I'm the general manager of of this franchise, and be able to
Nice.
pick different players and pick different staff, and also kind of figure out even like that whole process. It's been a lot of learning for me, and I've really enjoyed trying to figure it all out. And now going into my second year, feel really good and confident with how things have gone, and I want to continue to progress with my learning and development. And I'm excited for what we have coming next, and all the stuff that our entire team has been working together on. And the whole organization, like our front office staff, like top to bottom, like with starting with our vice president, Annie LaRoche, and going down with everyone that's involved, with the team. Like they've really come together to make it something really special. So for me, it's really a special time for me right now to be a part of this. And it's yeah, I would just say it's a big honor now to kind of have this. It's almost like a passion project, really, where it's something that I truly do love to do. And just happy I'm you know able to be a part of it.
Do you have Because you talk about all the work that you put in, and being there for the next, I guess, the next crop, so to speak. Uh, do you want to give any shout outs to any of the people who helped you along the way? Who were some of those people that were instrumental to you, as a young whippersnapper, who kind of helped you hone in and teach you the professionalism that you needed to bring to get to the next level?
Well, I'll always have to say my mom. Like
Of course.
that's like,
Because
well,
of course.
honestly, like that's why, in terms of me mentioning it like earlier, like it
Yeah.
really was, because people always ask, well, where'd you learn this? Like, where'd
Yeah.
this discipline come from? And I realized like my foundation was extremely solid because of what
Yes.
she set,
Fascinating woman.
as a standard.
Yeah.
And so that's where it really starts with. And when people, as I was going through the process, and I'd have coaches that would say nice things about me, and they'd be like, look, like they'd tell my older coaches like, oh, you did a great job with him, and my coach would stop them right there, like, no, like this is Mrs. Anthony, like this is like she is, she is the one for that. But I think I've been really fortunate to get really great coaching.
Mhm.
I've had great teachers that have cared, that have been knowledgeable,
Mhm.
from, and even not even full coaches. Like when I was in Montreal, I had former players that some were coaching, some were just around, but they were like our vets, our OGs. They were the ones that would still they're still good enough to still play.
Mhm.
Um, and they would play with like us younger guys and everything, and they'd give us knowledge. And so in Montreal, guys like Trevor Williams and Dwight Walton and Wayne Yearwood, um, Mike Smith, like my like the those were guys that helped me, kind of figure out where I needed to go, as I was, trying to learn the game,
Yeah.
and learn, even just to be able to like have an opportunity to get out of Montreal.
School
And
selection. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
Denberg Reed, who's a good friend that I work with now, who was able to help get me like onto a travel team, the Sun Youth travel team, and that's what really blew me up to have an opportunity to even get a scholarship to go to the States.
Okay.
And when I got to the US, like I had my junior college coach Paul Swanson,
Mm.
who taught me so much, and I saw probably my biggest jump in development, being with him.
Nice.
Who was tough love, and but was still fair with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Lon Kruger, and who's my coach at UNLV. When I got to the NBA, like I had Pat Riley as like my first my first coach,
A
and
boss.
yeah. So and a young Eric Spoelstra, who like now is like one of the top coaches in the league. But when I was there his first year as a head coach. Like he was an assistant like my first year in in the league. And but since then it's just been just had really really good coaches that have helped me at different steps kind of get through. But those guys that I mentioned, and I mentioned before, but even again, because I don't think I mentioned enough, like more to people that I'm close to that understand. But like Jamal was someone, Jamal McGore was really big. Like when I say he really was like my big brother.
Mm-hmm.
And like still is. And he's when you have someone that you're also able to relate to, so as
Culturally.
as we talk about exactly culturally, where
Mm-hmm.
I didn't fit in with everyone. Like I listened to like dancehall and soca,
Okay. Yeah.
and so just I listened to hip hop too. Like I was well versed, and so I listened to everything. But like in terms of the genres that my were,
First love.
what drove me and like what my love was, like it
Yeah.
was that. And so having someone who was also, Jamal was from Toronto, so having someone else from Canada, right by me on the East Coast originally, and whose origins is all, from the islands. It was big to have someone that I could relate to like that, because there wasn't anyone else like that, like in the league. Like
Right.
Jamal, like Jamal would come in, and also because he was a vet. I remember like he'd come in, he'd be in the locker room, he'd be playing soca, and he'd only play soca. He's Trini. Like when I say Trini to the bone,
Is
like
there
To the
anything else?
bone.
bone
God loves
to the bone.
soca.
When I say like nothing but soca, if he
God loves
hears
Bless you.
anything
soca.
else, if that man hear dancehall, problems. So he was like he was very like adamant about like expressing and experiencing like our culture,
Mhm.
as West Indians.
Ambassador.
And so yeah, and so it was really big. So like he was someone that helped in a lot, so not just on the court with what I had to do on the court to try and make it, especially as like a big in this league. Off the court as well, he was really
Mm.
instrumental to me, to be able to help me out.
Nice.
Mhm.
I have a couple of rapid fire questions to help
Sure.
people get to know Joel Anthony. Um, so let's go. Uh, Tupac or Biggie?
Biggie. Grew up on the
Ooh.
East Coast.
All right. Michael or Prince?
Ooh, Michael.
Ooh, my man. All right. Favorite Burning Flame song? Mm.
Romans.
Romans. Okay.
Uh,
Coming true. Coming
Yeah.
true.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, like I remember had fond memories, like just like when that song was on, and I could say that if my sister ends up watching it, which I'll probably tell her to make sure she does, like she'll be laughing just because um we had great times in Antigua at that time,
Yeah.
when it was out.
Yeah.
Just I know
Running
you're
with the
saying
crowd.
rapid fire, but yeah. So long story short, I think if that might have been the year that there was a volcano in Montserrat. But we had gotten stuck in
Mm.
Antigua. My mom left, had to go, so we were stuck, left over. We ended up going to Lions like every like every other night.
Nice.
And Joe, don't spit out your juice. We got the Lions
Yeah, boy.
Dive into the Romans.
almost every night, and it was Jared Rose, and it was nonstop,
Man.
playing for us.
That's
But
when
yeah,
that's when Lions was Lions. I'm
yes,
telling you. All
yes,
right.
Oh
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
All right. Let's see with this one. Let's see if you're an old soul. Favorite short shirt song.
Favorite?
Short shirt.
Oh, sure.
Did your mom play short shirt tunes for you?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, we're
So
gonna work on that one.
I won't. Yeah, 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 yeah. I
All right.
was my mom was more into like I think more than anything like classical music than
Oh, okay.
Church music.
yeah, she was definitely church music, gospel,
Boy.
and classical. She was like she wanted me to play like the piano and violin, and
Mhm.
they didn't want to listen to not too much. It's funny, like now she talks about it, but I was like, it's really her fault that I started to listen to soca because she took me to Antigua for every carnival.
Right.
So, but yeah, didn't listen to much of that in the house. She was much more traditional.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Poutine or fungi?
Fungi,
Oh, okay. My bad.
fungi.
Fungi.
Yeah, has to be fungi.
Okay. Well, on that note, favorite Antiguan food.
Uh, duck canoe.
Duck enough.
No, oh,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
wait. He's thinking.
my grandmother's cassava. My grandma's cassava cakes. She used to make
yeah.
so
Yeah, talk
like
about it.
Jomo. I don't know if you remember the small
Yeah.
the
Hey,
small
hey.
stove like that was
In
like
the,
beside the house.
beside the
The
house.
coal
Yeah, yeah,
fire.
yeah,
Yeah.
beside the
Where
house.
we ate.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
we
yeah,
ate.
yeah. So like that was when I don't know, like we hardly like that was almost like never used, but like she
Yeah.
would like she had like some old stove over there that she would be able to
Man.
make like the cassava case. So I remember I
Yeah.
would wait, because she would let me inside when she was cooking, but like I would wait outside, and like when she was done, it was like some of the best that it
Yeah.
was like the best I ever had. So
Yeah.
yeah,
She used to make that with fried fish. It
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
bamboula. She used to make that with fried fish.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Cassava, the
So
cassava cakes.
right.
Yeah,
So
bamboula. Well, she
so
used to make that
like
with fried fish.
between those two, uh,
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah.
Nice, nice. All right. Um, we're at time, we're past time. So, Joel Anthony, what can I say? It was such a pleasure to talk to you, get some of those background insights, how to be a pro, how to get to being a pro, how to do it day in, day out, from the time you're coming up all the way up, consistency, work ethic, hard work, putting that work in, getting to the mountaintop. Above all the obstacles, around them, through them, on them, you are the epitome of an endeavorer and achiever, which is the motto of Antigua. Each endeavoring, all achieving. Congratulations on all your hard work and accomplishments. Jomo.
I just want to say, man, I've always, I remember the first game I sat with my mom and watched, and you got a rebound, and she screamed. She was like, "Look at Joel! Look at Joel!
You right there.
And let me tell you, I was not I didn't know much about the Miami Heat because I was a perishing Laker fan since the 80s. But I couldn't say nothing about the Lakers, man. All our focus was on following your career, and we were so proud of you, and just knowing you coming up, and the kind of work ethic and the cloth that you came from.
Auntie, you from?
And you know, and I and Mr. Anthony and your mom and that whole, and Florence, and I know that work ethic showed in your professional career.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that I'm extremely proud to have known you,
all of us,
most of my life. And I just want to say that what you're doing now will go a long way. I think what you're doing with the Montreal team is going to pay dividends. I think people are going to gain from your experience, and continue doing what you're doing, and continue representing your country. And next time we meet up, we're definitely going to do some Dukada.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. I can't wait.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you on social media? Do you want to put your socials out there? People can follow you, wish you well.
No, this is the time that I'm supposed to. Actually, you've reminded me. I will be setting up my social media account, so I have a public, at least a public Instagram.
Okay.
Like I had an old Facebook account that like I don't touch it. It's been full because there's a limit. So I filled that limit like when like back when I was playing, and so don't really use that as much. And outside of that, I'm more on the professional side now. So I'm on LinkedIn.
Yeah, there you go.
So LinkedIn is my social media.
My man, thank you so much. We're all very proud of you. Congratulations on everything. Thank you for being here on Wadadli TV. Have a great evening.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Once again, thank you for having me on here. It's been a pleasure, and truly appreciate all of this and the support. And it's been, great getting a chance to talk and catch up.
Beautiful. All right, take it easy, my man. Best of luck to you. All right, take care. Bye.